Hi, I'm Johnny Rose, one of the founders of Croydon Tech City, and this evening I'm here with Vivi Friedgut of BlackBullion. So Vivi, hello.
Hi.
Welcome and thank you for bearing with that slightly contrived intro. Sorry guys.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, thank you for this evening. If you wouldn't mind, could you just start by explaining what BlackBullion is and how it got started or how you got that idea?
Sure. Well, BlackBullion was started because I realised how many people don't understand personal finance. Having come from a banking background, I know how rich people understand money, and that is that they hire experts to understand money. All the rest of us have to kind of bumble our way through, and the financial world has gotten really, really complicated, and people are falling through cracks left, right and centre. So when I left the banking sector, I thought, you know what, I can help people to understand the other end of banking, and that's how it started with financial education. We are now, as we were discussing, doing a full lifetime skilling program which is taught online, which is how young people want to learn.
So one of the things I recall from your, you said something really interesting in your talk, which is when it comes to EdTech, people dwell a lot and focus a lot on tech and not enough about the ed. What do you mean by that? And can you build that out a little bit?
Yeah, so there seems to be a couple of different groups that are doing EdTech. So EdTech is actually one of the newest techs. So MedTech, FinTech have all been around for a really long time. EdTech, interestingly, has been the slowest to really catch on, and yet education is the second largest industry in the world. It's a $5.5 trillion industry, and only 3% of it is digital. So it's crazy. And what's happened is a lot of tech people have jumped into the education sector because they're very passionate about education, but what they understand is the technology, and that's what's driven their decision making. So increasingly there are teacherpreneurs who are using tech to enhance their teaching, but we are still seeing an overabundance of technology focus as opposed to education focus, also because education is such a fast-moving beast.
Sure.
So we've got a long way to go, but it's exciting that we're having the conversations. There's people doing it, the ecosystem's being created.
So what I loved from your talk this evening was you had a lot of good scattergun rules and lessons, including like your complete disdain for just tech, and tech's just something for you to do what you want to do, not for something to be subsumed by or obsessed by, which was fab. But one thing I really liked was how bullish you are on when you start to do a startup, not wasting money and doing things lean, and how it's an advantage if you can do something lean compared to someone who splurges on cards and stuff. And are there any tips or advice you've experienced in your time getting started and how you've managed to stay lean whilst making maximum impact?
Yeah, well, I think the problem with having too much money, which is ironic, and it's something that my mum has always said, is that if you've got a lot of money, you're not hungry because there's always money in the bank. So you're not as worried in a sense about having to be successful because there's no timeline, there's no deadline for when you run out of cash. Of course, running out of cash is a very bad thing, and the stress of running out of cash can be very bad. So there's a very thin line. But the reason I love the whole lean concept is it forces you to address real problems and address them quickly. So you can't throw money at the problem. If you're not getting traction with your users, you can't just do another £1 million worth of Facebook advertising. You actually have to look at why you're not getting stickiness and why you're not getting virility through it. And I think from a sustainability point of view, with the sector, that's the way to look at it. So when I started the company, it was all about getting revenue and getting traction and getting users early on, rather than just getting lots of users and bringing on lots of investment and hoping that at some point it will become financially viable. I guess that's my finance background coming through. Where's the money?
Brilliant, which is always a good question to ask. Now, getting onto that point, so what was really interesting, like you said, is you were making revenues almost from the outset, but you're now in a situation where, you're starting to say towards the end of your talk, where you now need to think about not just starting up, but scaling up.
Yeah.
And there are lots of attendant issues with that. I was going to say trust issues, but not in the sort of negative sense, but having to find people who are equally as dedicated, or how you scale one to many, how do you maximize the message? I was just wondering, what are you thinking about doing next, or what advice do you have for people who are going from that kind of me, myself and I mentality, or a trust of two of us, to building out? What sort of things are you looking at or doing to grow your enterprise?
We're very good in London at startups. We've got a massive startup culture that's happening now, which is brilliant, and some of that is sort of The Apprentice made entrepreneurship sexy, and then The Dragon's Den made it look like raising money was really easy, and that's great. What we're not being so great at is scaling up, as the other speaker was saying. the San Francisco ecosystem is just far more developed, and a lot of people have said to me, when you start raising money, actually you want to go to San Francisco, and in a sense, some of that is true. I think that we need to get better at that, and as we see exits and as we see more successes, it'll develop in that sense. My advice to people is raise money before you think you need it. That was something that we kind of straddled, actually. Should have started raising a little bit earlier. Build your team, or start laying the groundwork for building your team in anticipation. So going forward, one of my driving ideas is to preemptively hire people. So I know where we're going, and where we want to get to, and what skills we're going to need for that. And I don't want to wait until 5 minutes before, because hiring talented people who buy into your vision, who are going to be passionate about your vision, is not a 5-minute job.
Sure.
And there's a hell of a lot of talent out there, but how do you get the best people to come and work for a startup that's inherently maybe a little bit risky? And when companies like Google are offering huge amounts of money, how do you compete, and how do you get the manpower? And
my final thing is where can people reach you or check out the product? So where are you online?
So our website is blackbullion.co.uk. We are on Twitter at BlackBullion. We're on Facebook at BlackBullion. I can be reached through LinkedIn. I'm always, as I said in my talk, I'm always happy to connect with people. I think all those people that are going to change your life, we haven't met yet by definition, and it's a super exciting time to be alive. So I'm just so excited for where the business is going, and the response that we've had from the marketplace has been fantastic. So feel free to connect up on anything. I'm always up for a chat.
Vivi, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fantastic.
Real.